We're here in Wilkinsburg with Senator Bob Casey doing an interview, find out what some of the issues are and where we're going to go in November. How you doing, Senator?
Doing well.
Cool, cool.
Good to be in Wilkinsburg.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. So why Wilkinsburg?
Well, what I've tried to do in the campaign is what I've also done in the Senate, which is to engage with folks in local communities across the state. I've been to, after the 2016 election, I got to every one of our 67 counties and a lot of communities within those counties. We're on kind of our second round of that, so I've been now to more, we're approaching 50 counties, 45 to 50, a second time. And in a lot of those counties, there are communities like Wilkinsburg that have challenges and struggles and successes and good stories to tell that we should hear about. It informs the votes that I cast on budget bills and appropriation bills and in public policy generally. A lot of the challenges that the people of Wilkinsburg face are very similar to the challenges the middle class faces and folks trying to get to the middle class. This election is going to be a lot about the middle class and what happens to them and what happens to them with regard to health care and other major issues in their lives.
One of the major issues is the federal budget. Can you tell me like how hard it was the fight for the federal budget and what happened?
Well, one issue we fought very hard, I fought very hard, not just this year but over many years, is to make sure that block grant dollars that get to individual communities within a county like Allegheny County, that those block grant dollars are available. The Republicans in the administration, the Trump administration, wanted to eliminate a $3 billion program that helps local communities. So a local community can decide what they do with those federal dollars, whether they use it for blight removal or economic development or road paving or even law enforcement, whatever they want to do. And they wanted to wipe out that program. The good news is, by working with the other side in the Senate, we were able, and I'm not just me, but the Senate overall, a group of us, we're pushing hard to get an increase in block grant funding instead of eliminating the entire program. So it just so happened I asked for $300 million more, and guess what? That's exactly what we got. Now that's not only attributable to my work, that was the work of a lot of people. But we want to continue to focus on programs like that that help individual counties. I think the last number I saw for Allegheny County was more than $12 million of community development block grants. We want that number to be there every year so people within this county can benefit from those federal dollars that they send to Washington.
So some people will call you a Boy Scout, you know what I mean? Like you talk to every single person that, you know, in one of your forums or, you know, you hit every single county that, you know, you help represent. How do you feel about, you know, being known as a Boy Scout?
Well, I never was an actual Boy Scout, so that's a great compliment. I think if I can just keep working between now and Election Day, and if we're successful, and I think we will be, maybe they'll continue to call me Senator as well. That'd be great. No, but I'm really honored to serve. It's a privilege, and even when times are tough, even when you're fighting hard on these issues to preserve health care protections and otherwise, it's a great privilege to serve.
So what would you say to some people that said that, you know, you switched from being pro-life because you got you know, voted by Planned Parenthood at 100%? So,
well, they probably haven't read my record. It's entirely possible, even in Washington, to focus on an issue like contraception and family planning as a separate and critically important issue, which is why I voted to support Planned Parenthood. Now, some people believe that you should take all that funding away. That would hurt not only those who want to make sure that we have dollars for family planning and contraception. If family planning and contraception dollars go down, the abortion rate goes up. I don't think people on either side want that rate to go up. And someone who comes to you as a public official and says they are pro-life, ask them how they vote on Medicaid. Because Medicaid is the program that provides not just health care, but makes sure that 45% of all the babies born in the United States can have a healthy delivery. If you're pro-life, you should support Medicaid. If you're pro-life, you should want to reduce the number of abortions, make sure that contraception and family planning is available. So Sometimes in Washington, people got a little carried away with labels, and they ought to focus on the policy.
So what's the biggest fight that you got currently and upcoming?
I think if you had to boil it down to one issue or two issues that are related, one is wages and one is health care, and they are related. Raising wages for middle-class families and those trying to get to the middle class, I think might be the biggest challenge of our time. Closely related to that, of course, is the issue of health care. You've got a political party in Washington that not only wanted to repeal the Affordable Care Act, but not only wants to cut $2 trillion out of our health care programs over the next 10 years, they are literally in court right now trying to take away the protections that we put into law for those with pre-existing conditions. More than 5 million Pennsylvanians have a pre-existing condition. We are not going to allow Republicans to do that. We're going to fight them and beat them on the issue of preserving protections for pre-existing conditions.
We've seen a lot of news coverage on Senator McCain. Have you had any experience with working with the Republicans on anything that you've seen eye to eye with?
Absolutely, and I've had the privilege to not just serve with Senator McCain, but work with him on a number of issues. And we got to know him in a manner that legislators should get to know each other when you're working together. There are a number of bills that I got passed, even just that show that I know how to work with both sides. Mike Enzi, a conservative Republican from Wyoming, and I worked on the Career and Technical Education Bill, a critically important bill for our workforce. Senator Toomey and I worked together on legislation that says if you're the child of a law enforcement officer or a first responder and you lose your life in the line of duty, you can get the maximum Pell Grant available, just like we did for our soldiers and their families who died in Iraq and Afghanistan. So working with Republicans is something I've done well, passing legislation, getting legislation done, whether it's on the opioid crisis or education or otherwise. So we're going to continue to fight to work in a bipartisan way, but when it comes to health care, Republicans are trying to rip away protections for health care, decimate the Medicaid program. We'll fight them with both fists.
So if there's something that you would say to Pennsylvanians right now, what would you tell them?
Well, number one is that this election, and I think a lot of elections this year, will come down to a battle on a fundamental issue like health care. We've got to preserve the protections for people that have health care and cover more and more Americans. It was a good thing when more than 1.1 million Pennsylvanians got health care through the Affordable Care Act, 98,000 of them plus here in Allegheny County. It's a good thing when more people have health care, that we're all better off. It's also important to maintain protections for people that have employer-sponsored coverage and only recently have protections that they deserve.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.